Now, like most of our builds, we will start by creating the background. We will start by spraying on some spray foam onto the back glass. But as you can see, I won't be covering up the whole thing. Now, while the foam is still wet and expanding, we will be placing a good amount of substrate on top of it. And for that, I will be using some dry coconut husk. Be sure to add on a good amount and to cover up every bit of the foam. Once we have that all covered up, we will now allow it to expand and dry. Let it sit for about an hour, and once that's done, we can then go ahead and knock out any excess substrate that did not stick to the foam. And just like that, our background is complete. And like I said before, I was sure not to cover up the entire back glass with foam. Now for this next step, I will be adding in a piece of plastic sheet that is as wide as the tank, but only a few inches tall. Once we have it positioned correctly, we will now glue it down firmly in place. Now the purpose of this plastic is to be able to hold down our layers, as well as catching the extra water that will be running down our background, thus creating sort of a mini pool in the back versus in the front. Now to start creating our little forest layer, we will start by adding in a good amount of leca balls, followed by a sheet of weed barrier. And as for our next layer, I will be using a mixture of aqua soil, followed by the extra bits of coconut husk that we dumped out earlier. I will be mixing it around 20 parts coconut husk and 80 parts aqua soil. I will also be adding some to the water catch area in the back. Once we have everything set, we are now ready to add in a good amount of water and give everything time to soak up and expand. Now before we start adding plants to our background, first we need to make a few holes into it, so that way our plants have somewhere to sit, as well as catch any of the water that will trickle down. I recommend using something like a screwdriver or some tweezers, and really digging in there in a circular motion or even taking out any excess material. And once we made our holes, we are now prepared to add in the plants. And as always, be sure to do some research to see which plants will do best in the environment that you're trying to make. For instance, all the plants that I will be using in this build do well in very wet environments. Next I will be adding in a few black lava rocks. As well as adding in 2 types of live moss. In my experience, I've found that live moss works much better than store-bought. Now let's also add in a few rounded out rocks, as well as a piece of vine. Now let's dump in a few tiny clumps of leaf litter. And let's also spray it down a bit to get it ready for our little friends to go back to their home. Now, if you're not familiar with these species of frog, they are called the White's tree frog, also known as a dumpy frog. These guys are still small, but when they're full grown, they grow about to about 5 inches long, and the females usually being bigger than the males. They even sometimes seem to change color. As you can see, this one has almost like a bluish glow to it, whereas the other guy has a sort of a brownish green to him. But regardless of the color, these guys make great pets. Not only are they really cute, but also fairly simple to take care of. Just be sure to have them in a nice humid environment, as well as provide many areas for them to climb and hide into. So I'm hoping they will like their new setup. And that completes today's build. If you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe for more animal content and habitat builds. As always, this has been Reptile and More, and I will see you guys on the next one.